Hello everybody and welcome to the InGear Motorsport live stream. You join us tonight for the final of our Italian Winter Series Championship. The drivers are taking to one last Italian track, the famous Imola circuit, and we've got 6 drivers in contention for the championship tonight and a really close battle at the front. So quite a lot to look forward to. If you've not seen one of our live streams before, stick around, we'll go through timings and that type of stuff shortly. But I'm Mackenzie, I'm joined in the commentary box with Charlotte here, and we'll be taking you through the action tonight. What are your thoughts ahead of this evening's live stream then?
I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, probably a little bit biased towards Chrissy Palmer and really hoping that he has a really good outcome for InGear Motorsport. But again, could he throw something into the mix? He's had a really strong performance. Michael Curran, the same. I don't think it's as a done deal as what it has been in other championships previously. So what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. It would be nice it's nice actually that Chrissy and an InGear Motorsport car is in contention to win an InGear Motorsport championship this time. So after a number of different disasters and things in the last couple of series that we've ran for him. So good to see that he's, because he's had the pace all the time. Yeah. He's at the sharp end. So yeah, pleased with that myself. He is one of the drivers running with ballast this evening. So if they have good top 3 finishes in previous races, they run ballast, which weighs the car down and essentially handicaps them a little bit. He's got 15 kilograms, so enough to certainly feel a little difference over a 90-minute race. And then Dominic Stallman, who's second in the championship, has got no ballast because he finished outside of the top 3 at Monza last time around. So
intentional or not intentional?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Because he was following Roland in the final stages, his dad, and could have potentially had a move and didn't. So it's interesting whether he did do that deliberately.
So there's only 2 points separating them at the moment. So Chrissy on 45 and Stallman on 43. So he's tactical enough as well, isn't he, that he would know to play the game as such, literally, and maybe just hold back. And so it could have been very good.
Because we normally do 2 races, and tonight's one long race, it's double points. So a double points finale race, which means there's 30 points on the table, plus a driver of the day point, which anyone watching can vote for their favourite driver, and then the driver with the most votes gets an extra point. So essentially 31 points on the table for tonight. So when you've only got a 2-point gap between first and second, that either way, if one of them wants to win, they have to beat the other driver is the easiest way to think of it for them. And then the next driver back is Heath, like you say, in 36 points. So Heath will be looking to jump back up into the lead. Again, not that far behind in the grand scheme of things when 30 points is available for a win. So lots to look forward to. But let's just quickly go through timings. Nice and straightforward tonight because it is just one longer race. But the drivers have just started qualifying a few moments ago. So we usually start qualifying at 7:30, so they were nice and prompt and on time. And the race will then take part around 10 to 8. So 10 to 8 this evening, we'll kick off for a 90-minute endurance race, which will entail pit stops throughout because the cars don't quite have enough fuel to go all that distance in one run. And most of the drivers will probably consider changing for tyres as well. And then we'll have a couple of post-race interviews afterwards with whoever's left to chat with us.
Whoever's in a good mood is probably usually the best way that we can determine who
and in the Discord.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, let us know in chat. Say hello. I've got a screen to my right. I can see who's here. I've not seen anyone say anything yet. Paulina's here. Martin Burridge is here. Oh. I don't know who that guy is.
Well, I don't know. He's taken 5 seconds off of chess now. So.
He's probably playing at the same time.
Yeah,
actually,
he's probably playing at the same time.
But yeah, good to see you guys. George is watching as well. So let us know in chat and, share any little bits of information that you see or spot in the race or, you want us to talk about or have a look at. We're here to interact the whole way through.
Who do you think?
Yeah, good shout. Predictions and weird and wonderful jokes always seem to crop up every now and then as well. So a bit of all of it.
Do you want to hear one of my predictions? Just looking at that, I think Curran is going to be I think he'll finish second. I don't know why I think that, but that's what I think.
What, in the whole championship or the race?
No, in the race.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out. But let's jump into qualifying and see how everyone's getting on then at the moment. So you can see there where we're just on with Bedoya in the Ferrari. Most of the drivers are in Ferraris or Lamborghinis, or the Reiter racing machine that the Shiba Garage boys are using. So basically Italian cars, Italian tracks, but it is open for other drivers that just want to come in and join the race on a kind of guest driver basis to turn up with any car they like. So we've got a mix of either or, but you can see now then, as I say, we're in the game. We'll have a look and see what happens. If you've not seen this before, it's Assetto Corsa Competizione that we play on, and anyone's welcome to come and join, providing that they're able to kind of sign up in the Discord and not crash into everyone. But otherwise, it's all welcome. So how are we looking at the moment? Chrissy Palmer on provisional pole then with a 1:41.8. And then we have Dominic Stallman in second place currently at the moment with a 42.3. So just a few tenths behind then on the slightly faster Chrissy Palmer at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's good to see though that some of the guys have, I mean, we're well over halfway into qualifying now. So it's good to see that sort of, certainly from what I can see from my screen here, at least 8 have set a lap. It's something that we talk about quite regularly on this though, isn't it? And we find that people tend to leave their lap till very late in the session for one reason or another, whether it's intentional or not. But I think it's really important to kind of get that banker lap in. It's probably the best phrase for it, isn't it? You know, at least get something on the table and then go from there and crack on.
Yeah, definitely. Something goes wrong or if the weather changes or whatever, then you kind of wish that you'd done that lap sooner. Notice that Robert Bjorkman has rejoined as well, which is good to see. We've got Neil Kidd up in 4th place for Shiba Garage. Neil was saying he's not really turned a wheel for practice lately, but he has done some longer races on here a little while back. So
Neil's in a Honda.
Oh yeah, he's opted for a different car tonight. So obviously not interested in the championship aspect, but he's joined tonight for a race. But I know why that is. He did I think, 8-hour race of Imola recently in another series in the Honda. So where he's not tested in the other car, perhaps just decided to go for that this time round. Yeah,
so we've missed Neil in the last couple of races, haven't we? And it's probably worth saying, John Kidd, if you see 2 kids on the board at any point in time, it's a brother-brother battle, isn't it, up in Scotland. John's had a little bit of bad luck, hasn't he, over the last couple of rounds, so kind of got fingers and toes crossed for him that he's going to have a really solid finish, because his pace certainly has got better and better. I think his racecraft has as well. He's just got caught up in difficult situations, is probably the way, isn't it? You know, racing incidents that have just been a bit of a pain. So it'd be good to see a solid finish there from him.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few drivers that kind of go through those spells of just having a bit of a
I think it's the way, isn't it?
So I think what would be good as qualifying is drawing to a close. Chrissy Palmer is trying to set some faster laps still. So if we could jump on board with him and ride on board around the lap of Monza, then we could get a bit of an idea for what it looks like from a driver's eye view. About halfway around the lap at the moment, so we'll let him get a bit further on. And then we'll kind of go through a full lap of this wonderful Imola circuit. It's a great track to drive, lots of undulation as a car gets a little bit squirmy in front of Chrissy there, but manages to deal with it okay. But yeah, lots of undulations, lots of curves that you can or cannot use depending on which car you're driving. Ferrari's able to use them a tiny bit, but it's not a big fan of big curves. So we're dropping down the hill here in the final sector of the lap, and the car really is difficult to stop in that sort of situation because the track's running downhill, you've got to try and get it stopped. And turned in for quite a sharp corner. Looks like he's given himself a bit of gap to the car ahead, uses all of the extra bit of tarmac on the inside there and a bit of paint to go with it. And then we cross the line now to start a new flying lap. Now you can see in the top left the green delta, or green and grey delta that's flashing. That lets us know whether he's on a quicker or a slower lap as he comes up to a little bit of traffic, it would seem. So not going to happen this time for him. You can see already that's just gone into the red there, which makes it a little bit trickier for him. Still will get another lap. So if we're doing 1:41, he's got 2:20 on the clock. And the way it works is once the clock hits 0, if the driver is still on a lap, they are allowed to finish it and it will count. But if they cross the line on 0, they then have to stop.
Yeah, currently half a second up on Stallman at the moment as well. Quite a big gap really for how Stallman is, and it's looking like his lap at the moment that he's on is slower. So he's only going to potentially extend that lead, if not maintain it, going into sort of the closing stages of this qualifying session. Danny Price, really good to see Danny up at the sharp end as well.
Yeah, one of the Sheba Garage cars. Sheba Garage looking good for some good solid points in the championship standings. We only have a small number of teams. It has to be 2 drivers that have paired up in the same car to race together or more. Sheba Garage have 4. So they can take some solid points away. They can effectively earn themselves 30 points for a win, 24 for a second, being double points. So that would put them right up into the sharp end. But otherwise, Vegas Sim Performance currently lead the 2 Stallmans of Roland and Dom. Dom, as we say, is also fighting for the Drivers' Championship, and technically so is Roland, who's in 5th in the standings. So again, you know, with the double points, it is so all to play for tonight. It's just going to be a case of getting a clean start and then chipping away at that result. And between Dom and Chrissy, they need to beat each other if they want to beat the or win the series. So lots of close battles to be had, both for the win and the other aspects as well. But yeah, let's have a quick glance at chat and see if anyone's there. Nothing new at the moment, but good to see some of the usual crew. Let us know who your money's on tonight, people. And don't forget, if you are just joining for the first time or you've not seen many of these, we do a driver of the day point, which everyone in chat can vote. We're over on Twitch, Facebook and YouTube. And you can drop a comment in for your favourite driver about halfway through the race onwards, so we can start taking votes. And then the winning driver gets an extra point, which may well be championship deciding, who knows. Right, we've seen a few laps from Chrissy here, but he is up at the moment, so I think we will stick to this as he goes through the Aqua Minerale corner. Fantastic double right as it drops downhill. The car just wants to rotate and spin on you, as you saw. Had a little bit of opposite lock to try and deal with it. Going through the chicane, bouncing over the curbs, then runs out, uses all of the exit, and loses a little bit of time actually that lap. So he's now about 0 on his delta. He might be able to pull it back in the last couple of corners. As you see now, he drops down the hill on your screens, hits the heavy braking zone, coming into the penultimate couple of corners. See how he's using every bit of track to try and maximise space. Doesn't look like it's going to be quicker unless he has some boost button to press.
Extra waft. Pulled it out from somewhere.
Well, Chrissy's still on pole. Now, where is Dom? Is Dom anywhere where he can have any kind of answer at the moment? I mean, half a second is a pretty substantial time with 15 kilograms of ballast as well. We have to not forget that Chrissy's running with that ballast tonight. Dom is quicker. Is it going to be quicker enough? I just sat here in silence waiting for it to cross the line then.
Yeah, it's gone red though, so far.
So not quicker, but what's that gap?
4 tenths off now, yeah.
So 4 tenths off. That's enough to be able to probably go with Chrissy if he's able to get away. Okay, right. Well, I think there's a number of drivers still just finishing their laps, but what will happen then is qualifying draws to a close. Everyone will be put on the grid, and just like that, we're at the end of qualifying, about to start a race. And we'll feel like we blinked and missed that.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It feels quite quick. You can see though that Chrissy, I think Don Stallman's going to have the edge on him on the opening stages, just because, like we say, he's technically 15 kilos lighter than Chrissy, and it's not a huge amount of ballast, but it's certainly enough that it's going to make a difference. It's a long race though, so these guys are aware that they're going to be cautious, probably is the word for it, I guess. On the first couple of laps, you know, it's a long race, they just kind of need to stick with it. Chrissy will be all too aware, though, that he can't let Stallman get away. But I think the fact that Bjorkman is only 2 tenths off of Stallman as well, he's caused Stallman some issues over the last couple of races that he's been in, hasn't he? So,
yeah. Well, on that note then, drivers finishing off their laps, but we're going to take a short break over to Discord advert, and then we'll be with you shortly. Welcome back, everybody, then to Imola for the final race of our GT3 Italian Winter Championship. The drivers are lined up on the grid and ready. The two championship main contenders are on the front row. Plenty of opportunity for fireworks in that alone. But 2 out of 6 that are racing tonight. Neil Kidd has decided not to compete for the championship, even though he was in the points by switching car tonight, which is one of the things that the drivers can do. Bjorkman also is not necessarily competing for the championship, but is a regular who joins. So he'll be scoring points still and is currently in 3rd. Danny Price down in 5th. Klimpson in 6th. Steele in 7th. McCauley in 8th. Franchini in 9th. Roland Stallman in 10th, also competing for the championship tonight. Murray in 11th. Curran a bit out of place there and also could be scoring some solid points. Or Newton in 12th. Heath in 13th. Somerville in 14th. Bedoya, who's recently joined us, good to have you back, in 15th. John Kidd in 16th. Rathband in 17th. Howard in 18th. Connor in 19th. And Sharman is in 20th. And then I just look across to see the rest of the week. My screen cuts off. Lobby, Gillick, Hubbrand, Ryder, Werner, Nadiko, wow, S700 and Pasassi, is that on my pixelated stream that I just tried to look at there?
That's a strong grid, isn't it? 29 cars on the grid for a 90-minute race at Imola.
That's exactly what you want to see.
Strap in, people.
Yeah. Well then, the drivers begin their formation period and about to make their way off and towards the start-finish line. It's just a couple corners, running in formation at low speed. So you can see the orange and red car on the front row is Chrissy Palmer, number 99 for InGear Motorsport. If you've just joined an InGear Motorsport, it's actually quite good for us to have an InGear Motorsport car on the contention for the championship. Chrissy's been one of the fastest drivers for a while now, among the top 3 or 4 for sure, and yet has just been a bit unlucky. So see what you can do tonight. Dominic Stallman then in the white Vega Sim Performance Ferrari with the green and red elements will be trying to stop him. Bjorkman just behind in the black and yellow Bumblebee coloured Lamborghini is in 3rd, and then Kidd that one place back in the Honda. Interesting sort of front couple rows. They're all regular races of our series, so good to see all the regulars at the sharp end of the server, which is great. Lights be going green any minute. Quite a nerve-wracking moment when you're in the car, even in a virtual world, waiting for those lights to go green. And we're racing then in Imola. The final race is underway. 90 minutes on the clock begin to tick down. Chrissy gets away to a pretty good start so far. Looks like Bjorkman's actually tucked in underneath him quite nicely and going to get a move in potentially on Stallman. Seems like he's got away so far okay. Stallman manages to hold him off. Chrissy then gets a little bit of a gap because Stallman had to cover off Bjorkman there. And away they go then. And it looks like Kidd's managed to hold on to his place in that Honda down in 4th. So no change between the top 4 at the moment. But it does look like a Bentley of McCauley has jumped into 5th ahead of Klimpson. So he's jumped Klimpson there. And Danny Price has dropped back to 7th. In the other Ferrari of the Shiba Garage car. Stallman all over the back of Chrissy here, look, trying to see if he can do something in these early stages.
Moves, isn't he? Stallman knows as well, if he makes the move early and just puts the hammer down, that this 90 minutes should be fairly straightforward. You know, for us on the outside saying that, but yeah, sat inside a car, he'll probably argue with that at the end, but Chrissy's all too aware, he just needs to get the hammer down now. Yeah,
he will be pushing so hard to try and get away. The driver's also got full tanks of fuel at the moment, or close to full, because they'll be running to try and go quite long into the 90 minutes. Of course, they need to get to really ideally at least halfway. So they have to suddenly brake a bit earlier than what they have been. The car might be a bit more unstable than what it has been. But it looks like, throughout most of the pack, a fairly clean getaway. We do have Ben and George working in the background. You can check out replays and look into any incidents further down the grid, so we'll be able to update on this. Chrissy goes wide and hands the lead to Dominic Stallman there.
I would say that was a little bit of a look from Stallman, lining him up there, and it almost caught Chrissy a little bit off guard, that made him run a little bit wide there. Bjorkman's now going to be looking.
Yeah, Bjorkman's actually looking like he's going to get the run into turn 1.
Yeah.
But it's a very fast segment. I don't know if he'll be doing that for the sake of it.
Chrissy's a fairly stubborn driver, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have to yield that place as well, I would say. And then Bjorkman goes a bit wide. I think Chrissy's going to cut back on him. This is not the start to the 90 minutes that Chrissy Palmer wanted. And now we've got the unknown element of Bentley of McCauley jumping in there as well. He's going to have to really work hard. So the blue Bentley goes up the inside into the first chicane, and or second chicane. And Chrissy's going to be desperately trying not to let these guys get away too much. But that was a really well-timed move by Don Stallman, because he's just put Chrissy back into the the fight zone, hasn't he, and given himself a bit of a gap.
It's not lost though. We've seen this before. Stallman in 90-minute races has made mistakes and made mistakes on his own. It's probably one of the only times you ever see Stallman really make a mistake, isn't it?
Yeah, so, very rare.
What that does allow is Chrissy is going to be pushing, but he can almost just needs to stick with them, not squabble, so that the rest of them can kind of drag themselves back up to Stallman now. But don't try and push his tyres too hard, because otherwise he's going to have to think about pitting early. He's got a 15 kilo disadvantage in comparison to everyone else there. So he's got a little bit more to think about and a little bit more to manage at the moment.
Definitely, and I'm just trying to have a little look down the grid. I've noticed that we seem to have Heath a little bit further down the order there. Murray's also dropped to 20th, so not quite sure what happened there. We'll see if we can investigate that one a little bit later. But I can't see where Heath's gone. I wonder if someone can let me know in my ear where I've got Heath, because we mostly see what you guys see on the screen. He's dropped to 25th, so something happened there. So that'll be one for George, who's working in the background, to have a little look into at some point what happened to Heath at the start of the race. But that is Clemson then with the Pickle Rick on the back of his car. You might recognise on the back bumper, chasing down Chrissy Palmer, or Chrissy Palmer trying to get back away into a rhythm now. So easy, isn't it, to let that knock your confidence? But like you say, it's not really over yet. He's got a long way to go. An hour and 25 minutes, in fact. Can't believe we're already even that far into the race.
Seems to be quite. It's the only thing about lockdown that's going fast at the moment is this race. But hey ho, we'll need to do it. So yeah. Now there's a little bit of a gap that's sort of formed between Chrissy Palmer and Clemson. Let's just drop back ever so slightly further down the grid.
Yeah, so we're on Roland Stallman there and John Kidd. Cool. Well, John Kidd has, dare I say it, had a good start to this race after all the issues of previous ones. Currently running in 12th. Ahead of him is Bedoya, who's also recently joined us and is in the Discord chat with the guys tonight. Anyone can join our Discord and get involved in the races and come and get involved in the action, whether you even want to just come and chat and help with pictures and that side of it. Is Curran looks like he's getting a little bit close to someone in the back of the shot there. If we could just jump onto Curran and see what's happening there. John Kidd's now got M Ryder all over the back of him as well. If we could just switch that on the camera screen to John Kidd, please.
I think we might have to get Ben a monster.
Yeah. I could hear the cogs turning in the background now on that one, but now you can see then the red Ferrari of John Kidd. Normally he's in a Sheba Garage livery, but isn't for some reason. Oh, because he's taken a different car again. So half of Sheba Garage kind of opting for different cars for the last race tonight. Obviously just here to have a bit of fun, enjoy the race, and they've done quite a bit around Imola recently, so nice to see anyway that John's having a good battle with Ryder in the other black coloured Ferrari just behind him. Also, the second dry race we've had out of the 5 races so far. So the Winter Series has actually been quite wet and miserable for most part.
I've really enjoyed that, though. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it always, brings really good racing, doesn't it? Nothing's kind of a dead cert when it comes to a wet race. So I think it's been a really nice touch to kind of have a stronger ratio of wet races to dry, but I think everyone's probably pretty relieved at the moment that this is looking, unless there's a massive spanner in the works somewhere, this is looking fairly stable, isn't it, for the next hour and 23 minutes that we've got.
Oh, and it looks like Ryder's going to the inside, coming into the chicane there to try and put a move on John Kidd, but John goes to the inside, covers him off, and he decides not to go for anything too mad. You've got some massive sausage curbs on the inside of that chicane at the top of the hill. So if you go a little bit over them, you just get catapulted into the air. So both drivers decided that 2 abreast was not going to be a good idea. But that has given John a little bit of breathing space there. And although Ryder's straight back on him into the next braking zone. So John Kidd's definitely got his mirrors full of black Ferrari to try and defend tonight. So I'm just keeping an eye on the gaps high at the field. Yeah. Macaulay is just half a second behind Bjorkman. Chrissy is 2 seconds back. He was about 2.5. So Chrissy's catching in the third place guy.
If we just drop down to Curran, I'm just looking on the screen as you are, but I'm looking further down. There's a 10th between him and Murray at the moment. So Curran in the Lamborghini. And again, these are regulars with InGear Motorsport in the Discord chat. So always good to check in on these guys.
Looks like they're going two abreast then. Murray in the Aston Martin.
He just got ahead of
sorry, the Lexus. There was an Aston Martin in the middle as well. So Murray's actually slightly further up. They've all changed cars, so it's just throwing me on the last night. And so that's Curran in the Lamborghini with the Italian flag on the roof. And then just ahead of that, you've got Rathband in the Aston Martin, the sort of blue and white colour Aston Martin. And then a little bit in front of both of them is Murray. So they must be near each other. And
I was going to say, Murray's just done two in one. Murray was in P19 and Curran was in P17. So they're a complete swap with an Aston Martin sandwiched in the middle of both of them. So a good job there by Murray, who's climbing up, because he is out of place, isn't he, for where he would normally, as is Curran. You know, Curran's well in the championship fight. If he had, let's be fair, quite a lot would have to go wrong for Chrissy and Stallman, but he's certainly in the mix. He's one of the 6 that could have a chance.
I'm just going to have a little look back and see what happened to Heath at the start of the race. And then we can let everyone know, see what happened to our boy Kirk Heath.
Yeah, and again, through this whole championship, he's really performed well, hasn't he? He didn't get on with the Porsches when we was last doing that championship. Took a bit of a break, which sometimes I guess is needed, and then... Oh, that was
car that he went into the back of. So we're just looking on the background. Yeah. RSL sees there was a bit of an issue in the background that we couldn't get a replay for this one, so I'm just having a look on my end. So he's behind Murray in the Lexus, actually, that I think he's collected. So it looks like he starts to break, doesn't enough. And Roland Stallman also went really wide around the outside of the pair. But yeah, Heath just misjudged his braking into turn 1 and gave Murray a little bit of a clump, which is also why Murray's down out of position as well.
Quite a few people there as well, so...
It was like the pack just suddenly bunched up a hell of a lot into turn 1, so...
It's like there wasn't
we know what that is now anyway. Well, back to what's happening now. Heath will be trying to recover from that then, currently down in 21st, a little bit behind Curran, who we were just watching. But then back up at the front then, you're watching Bjorken on your screen at the moment in the black and yellow Lamborghini, trying to chase down the race leader. Actually,
he's bringing the gap down as well. It was
doing okay.
It was nearly a three-second gap, and he's pulled that down to about 2.5. Again, I'm looking through a really pixelated screen here, so give or take a 10th or 2 either side of that. He seems to come alive, doesn't he, in the races that we've seen in the latter part of the races here? Yeah,
if you remember back to the Porsche Cup, he had a couple of races where he had the pace and, like you say, comes alive, but then it was a couple mistakes that just cost him the win. Otherwise, he would have been in front of Dom. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that gap, like you say, about 2.3 seconds at the moment. Let us know, anyone, if you're watching in chat, what do you think so far? How is everyone doing out there? Paulina, how are you? I thought I saw Dom Stallman on another screen going a little bit sideways then, but it was just, I think, the actual connection. But we're watching Steele battling with Price at this moment in time, looking like he fancies a bit of a move, but not quite. So then, Danny Price in the Ferrari number 159. White with yellow and grey accents, and then you've got the Porsche of Steel just behind him in number 45, trying to find a way through. You can see it all over the back of that rear wing camera. Goes a bit wide there still, trying to get the run coming down the hill.
That Porsche getting very, very close under braking. I don't know if there was a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, and then we've got Clemson just up the road going through in the Nissan, and then these two a little bit further back. So Clemson will be loving the fact that Danny's got a load of pressure right now. As you can see, every time we get to a braking zone, that Porsche gets nice and close to the bumper of the Ferrari that we're riding on board with.
Danny has, albeit a very, very small gap, he has managed to pull out a little bit of a gap there. There was literally like a sheet of paper between the two of them.
And then they come back again.
Yeah, that's kind of slingshot, and the Porsche's looking like he's going to try and get in his toe.
You can see he's probably going to dart out to the side. There he goes. looking to make a move then as they come into the first segment of the lap. Fast left and then a second fast left into the braking zone and backs out of it.
I think he pulled out a little bit too early there. Maybe a little bit too early. It just gave Danny enough of the heads up to cover that off before going into the left. And good defending by Danny though. He's being put under some serious pressure here.
Yeah, definitely. And he's quite good actually at doing that, but it looks like it's going to happen now though. Still goes to the inside. Danny might look for a cutback, but I don't think he's going to get the run. Does look like he's got slightly better traction, but not enough to really do a great deal about it. They come through into a fast left-hander at the top of the hill. And then we come into the famous Acqua Minerale section. Just after that, 2 fast right-hand corners. Very easy to just take a bit too much curb and bounce the car up in the air. But both drivers getting through okay at the moment by the looks of it. So having a quick look at some of the other gaps around on the screen. Looks like a 42.8 is the time to beat at the moment, but I'll just have a little look on the timing screen and see. Macaulay and Stormer have both done a 42.8 as their best laps. Chrissy, where is he? A 43 flat. So Chrissy, yeah, could just do with finding a few temps. Storman quite consistent as well, still in the 42.8s on his last lap too. So definitely looking a little bit like he's just struggling for a bit of time, Chrissy, but only a couple temps.
But he is 15 kilos over to kind of balance that and defend him maybe a little bit there. He's 2 temps off the pace, but with 15 kilos extra ballast in. So as the time goes on and as we get further into this race and the fuel load gets slightly lighter, it could present an opportunity there, couldn't it? And
pit stops, and there's all sorts of things that can still go wrong for the others yet, as Neil Kidd's having a nice battle with Howard here. Goes to abreast over the line. Neil Kidd looks like he's going to make that move done. They're going to hit the brakes in just a moment, and then that'll be signed, sealed and delivered. Yeah, and we've got Warren Heath, who's just said hello on Facebook. I think Warren's Heath's dad, isn't it? Quite possibly. Yeah. Hello if it is. Yeah, can we have a little check-in on Heath to see where he is, just so he can see him, seeing as he's coming to watch? Absolutely can. So currently running down in 17th at the moment. After a bit of a turn 1 incident, which is a real shame to see, actually, just misjudged braking a little bit and went into the back of Murray, cost him a little bit there. He's clawed quite a few positions up though, so he's down in 21st. Yeah, I was just going to say, so if you look at that whole bunch that kind of got caught up in that first corner incident on lap 1, it was Curran, Murray, Heath that all got involved in that, and actually they dropped right back, didn't they? And they've now sort of clawed their way up. So I'm just trying to look on. So he's only just a second and a bit off of John Kidd in position 16 in the Ferrari. He's probably going to catch on him within the next couple of laps, isn't he? But as I say, that commentator's curse, I might shut up for a minute. I was just talking about bouncing off the curves there. So Heath in the black Lamborghini then, who we've been talking about, number 38. He should have a livery applied to that, but for whatever reason, also, I know it is on that end, yeah. 38, a very good number. That was my racing number from Minimax all the way into cars. You've never actually said that before, or maybe you have and I just can't remember. I think I said it once. Goes to the inside of John Kidd, and John Kidd goes for a very wide berth out onto the gravel. But, you know, I think that was all pretty fair. It was just a little bit late on the brakes for John there, probably watching in the mirror. Easily done there. You got a tiny bit. Yeah, I was going to say, I think that was almost got a bit distracted, and which is easily done, isn't it, when you've got a car behind you? Especially when you've got a Lamborghini make himself pretty wide on the inside of you. Especially when you know it's Heath's Lamborghini as well. You can see on the front of that Lamborghini, I don't know if we could change the camera angle at all, Mr. Race Director Ben, but you can see where there's a little bit of a scuffle where Heath was giving someone a little love tap going into the first corner. You do also get to see that scar. You get to see that wonderful livery as well. I just saw up ahead, that's Curran bumping doors with the Porsche of Connier. Yeah, so Curran and Connier just had a little bit of coming together, but it looks like Curran got away, and now Heath chasing Curran. Now these two are both close on points in the championship, so they could be fighting for 3rd place or 4th place depending on how the others are doing. We probably should check in on Roland Stallman at the moment. I've seen him cross through a couple shots and then check back to Heath versus Curran very soon, so I'm sure something will happen there before you know it. But Macaulay then is up onto Bjorkman as well, so we'll check that in a minute. And Chrissy is half a second off of Macaulay. So we need to get back into the top 3 very quickly in a moment. Roland Stallman in 8th at the moment, then just crossing your screen. Vegas Sim Performance, and currently that team is leading the series with him and Dom. 2 very solid, consistent drivers, always turn up, always put points in, and do the testing and stuff as well. So they do take it seriously, and you know, it always shows they have good results, have good pace. Still, just we need to decide now whether we want to watch Heath and Curran, or just probably check in on Heath and Curran very quickly, and then we'll jump back to the front because they're literally running neck and neck up the start-finish straight at the moment. There they go. Heath makes the move. I wouldn't be surprised if with Heath's pace that Curran actually said, go on Heath, you go through. Curran might even be nursing a bit of damage from some of his previous scraps.
They're usually in the same Discord chat as well, aren't they, together? So they'll be having a little bit of a chat.
Heath on a bit of a charge now, actually, you could say, isn't he? Back from 21st.
He's been fast. This Lamborghini over the last 3 evenings of racing, I always go to say weekends, he has had pure pace. It's just been a little bit of over-eagerness, making some moves, or, you know, just little mistakes that's actually cost him. But actually he's come into this championship final race in position like P3.
So then moving back towards the first, second, third, fourth battle, if we can please, Mr. Race Director. By the way, Race Director Ben in the background, give him a shout out. We haven't said much about him yet, but loves a can of Monster Energy. Usually has a few.
And then we've got George as well, who's in the background this evening, so it's very handy to have him. George
was really excited and upbeat about this earlier when we talked to him.
He actually asked me to be introduced as Sass Man, because he doesn't like being called George. He's quite a sassy character, so Sass Man is the name that he actually likes to go by.
Working away on a replay for us in the background, I think. So George could help check into incidents, as can, or for Ben then to help issue penalties and stuff if needed. But I think for the most part, everyone's been pretty good this race. The Heath Murray thing might get looked at later, but at turn 1, but I think that was all right. So the black and yellow Lamborghini on the screen then, that is Robert Bjorkman. Joined us for a few races now. Currently being chased down by the big, imposing Bentley of Macaulay there, and number 13, and Chrissy Palmer 1.6 seconds behind that. Chrissy was right on these two a moment ago, and now has just dropped back that little bit. So not sure whether that was deliberate. Maybe he'll be doing it for tyre cooling, or maybe he, just went for a move and wasn't able to make it stick and lost a bit of time again.
Maybe his new puppy distracted him.
Yeah. Quite possibly. What's it like when you're in the car and you've got someone breathing down your neck like Bjorkman's got at the moment?
I thought you were going to say, what's it like to be in the car and thinking about a puppy?
No, you're always thinking about puppies.
I'm always thinking about puppies. Sorry, ask me the question again.
So if you're in the car and you know someone's behind you, I mean, how aware are you of that other car?
I mean, hopefully
in the real world, I would say, but in game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak more for the real world than I can the game, because my time on here is very, very limited. But yeah, hopefully you're more than aware, and you need to keep an eye in your mirrors to see where are they gaining on you. The person actually chasing is in a privileged position, because they can sit and have a very clear view of where your strengths are or weaknesses, and they can pick at them. Whereas if you're the car in front, you don't have that quite clear view. So you are having to kind of manage things in your mirrors a little bit, but not let that distract you at the same time. And I think the perfect example of that is if you concentrate much on your mirrors, you do start to run wide, because it's that whole thing of where your eyes are, your hands go. So you naturally start to throw yourself off. So you have to kind of keep that dialed in mentality the whole way through, and be aware, but don't let it kind of freak you out or shake you too much with it. I mean, I guess the question goes back to you, what's it like in the game?
It's actually very similar. I think in the game, because you don't have the sort of real world sensations that you do in that you have in the real world. So, it sounds silly, but like you can feel the vibration of another car and another engine running near you. The sound waves bounce off of each other. These really,
you're just aware of it, aren't you?
The noise note changes, and you know someone's there. Whereas in the game, you don't quite feel that to the same extent, but you do have markers that let you know when someone's close. But it's also a little bit harder to talk, because you can't turn your head quite so easily. Even in VR, it's never quite the same. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is you tend to give people a wider berth and a bit more space in the game, just to account for that, and you know the latency from one server to the next, or one computer to the next. I was going to say we have a. Oh yes, that was it. We've got a replay of what happened to Kid earlier on, which I think we could probably just squeeze in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Chrissy's just managed to pull half a second back up on Macaulay at the moment, so he's definitely on a charge now. And whatever it was that made him back off, and I would just hold 5 for a minute, sorry, because he's looking like he's going to make a move here. I did nearly go to hit you to let you pay attention then. And the Bentley running very, very wide there.
Goes a little bit defensive, arguably, there as well, into the hairpin. So Chrissy's going to have to work quite hard to get past. But let's see what can happen. The orange InGear Motorsport Ferrari versus the blue Bentley of Macaulay. Can he make his way through? He's definitely got some repairing to do from this opening stint of the race. We're now approaching 30 minutes in the next six minutes, and Stallman's got a 10-second gap ahead of Chrissy at this point in time. So not, as we said before, not the end of the world. There's a long way to go, pit stops and all sorts yet, but Chrissy definitely has to try and clear this Bentley because we know he's quicker. And in fact, Chrissy's done a 42.5 on that last lap, which is how he brought that gap down. It's about half a second quicker than anyone else so far. Just trying to think where he might do it. It is a rather tricky track to overtake this.
This Bentley's certainly not making it easy for him either, is it? Which is right. But yeah, he's driving very, very defensively. Bearing in mind, we've still got an hour of this race to go. If that's how he's going to drive for the next however many laps until he decides to pit, if he decides to pit, that's hard work for the Bentley.
Definitely. Bentley's quite harsh on its tyres, being a bigger car as well. So, not necessarily yet, but in the next 10 minutes, he'll be starting to probably feel that more than some of the others. But then Chrissy with his ballast will as well. Luckily, the Ferrari's quite light on its tyres. This car has a spec, that can be GTE level. So when it's racing in GT3, it's actually wound down quite a lot and fairly light on everything. Be good. Let's try from driver's eye view, shall we? If we jump into the cockpit with Chrissy Palmer and see what he can make happen. There we go then. So chasing down the Bentley still with Macaulay. The next car back is Steele, who's 9.8 seconds behind. And then you've got Clemson further back from that, having a good run as well. Danny Price, I've just noticed, is very close to Clemson. They're both about a second, just under a second apart. So another little battle there. We've got Heath and Curran, we've got Clemson and Price, we've got Palmer and Macaulay all having scraps out.
It's all going to start to bunch up quite considerably. If this was a normal race and we only had sort of five minutes or so left of it, you could probably say you kind of know where you're going to end up, don't you? Because technically we'd be 26 minutes into a 30-minute race at this point, but we've still got double that left to go with an hour. What sort of time window are we looking at that people are going to start to make the decision to pit in?
About 45 minutes, 50, anywhere from sort of, I guess, 50 minutes left in the race would make sense. But yeah, more like 45. But still, not able to make it happen. I just don't want to miss the move when it does happen. Inevitably, he's going to have a go at some point. Cars ahead doing 43.1s, 43.6s. Chrissy's a second a lap slower that time than he was the previous, where he's trying to find a way through.
Yeah, this Bentley's damaging Chrissy's race. He knows that he needs to get past.
He is, but I guess, it's his race as well. Yeah,
exactly.
It's part of it, isn't it? It's trying to get past from racecraft. I think we'll definitely see this just a moment
for
longer.
Bjorkman at the moment, this is ideal because it's allowing him to have a little bit of breathing space from Macaulay, which they've been fairly close throughout the whole race, haven't they? And potentially start to claw back onto Stallman.
And the other issue that Chrissy will be thinking constantly is that he has to finish in front of Stallman. Of all the people to be leading this race, it could be any number of them and it'd still be okay at this point to be in fourth, but not Stallman, not Dominic Stallman. So every lap he spends behind this Bentley, as he gets a little bit of opposite lock there, go for Aqua Minerali. Goes up the hill again. We've got a big tight chicane coming up, heavy braking zone. Not really ideal to overtake because of the inside sausage curves, though.
Looks pretty strong going into the chicane, though, doesn't it?
And they'll drop down the hill in just a second.
Bentley could just you can just see he just manages to get a little bit more traction coming out the corners and get that power on a little bit more. And
yeah, Bentley fairly happy over the curbs as well. So there's certain segments where he can just get away with taking more curb. Doesn't look like Bjorkman's getting away too much, no. Maybe a tenth or two per lap, which, considering these two are having to worry about each other, is quite a good effort too. So throughout the rest of the field then. I've just seen that Bellingham can't make it tonight because he's not got Imola installed on the game. He hasn't got the DLC for it, but that's a shame. But I'm sure he'll be back next time, which is good. As far as I'm aware, I think he's going to join us for the next series, and he's got a teammate coming as well. So, yeah, Ryan Bellingham joined us for the opening race of this series, so and done the Porsche Cup. So he's over on YouTube. Anyone else watching, let us know in the comments. Say hello. Tell us what you think. How's your day been? Anything at all. Depending what it is, I'll read it out, or Charlotte can.
What's that?
I said, depending what it is, I'll read it out, or you can read it out.
I think we've got a bit of breathing space here, I think.
Yeah, we could finally see that replay of Neil Kidd, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Roll VT, as they say.
Oh, Ben's just got to put his Callum Monster down, though, before he plays it.
Yeah, Race Rex will be just doing that in the background for you, everyone. Okay, I think we might be getting a replay at some point. Oh, we've got a bit of a screen issue going on there. Yeah, but it is there, kind of. Just can't get the start these days. That's all it is. So this is what cost Neil Kidd a number of positions earlier in the race. The sort of white and red Honda dropped back a number of places as a result of this incident. But he's since been trying to make a recovery and putting in some good laps, as has Mr. Heath. And I've just seen Curran's back down in 20th as well. So he has gone for an early pit stop. I don't know if you'll get away with that yet. Maybe just if you fully brim the tank. Because I do suspect that Curran had some damage and decided to pit for that reason.
Is that...
Bjorkman ahead.
Is it though? Or are we coming up against
so we're running. Well, we're watching then the Blue Bentley and Chrissy Steele, and just ahead of them is Bjorkman.
I mean, they've managed to pull in quite a gap, both of them on Bjorkman.
Oh, this could be it for Chrissy. He's got a good run coming out of this turn here, but the hardest section of the track, arguably in Acrominerali, drop down the hill. Bentley will know Chrissy's right there. Does the Bentley go a bit wide? Oh, this is looking again like a good run for the Ferrari as they head up towards the chicane. The problem is he's going to have to go for a risky move, and risky moves aren't good in 90-minute races.
Not against a massive Bentley.
No. The Bentley would win that, wouldn't it, if they come together?
I think this is going to play into hands, though. They're definitely starting to come up against back markers here. You can see it up ahead against Bjorkman. So this could play into Chrissy's hands.
Yeah, 1.6 off of... oh, no, he's only 1.6 off of the back marker. Where is he in relation to Dom? 10 seconds back. Yeah.
Oh, Chrissy's still looking. He's still looking. So managed to get past that back marker. Very nice and easy. Moved out of the way. He probably made it too easy for Bjorkman and Macaulay, which is a bit of a bum for Chrissy because it probably didn't give him quite the opportunity that maybe it could have. But hey ho, the back marker did exactly what he should do, or what's expected to do in the rules. Actually, technically, it's
just had an important message come in. Paulina says, "Did you hear the rumor about butter?" I haven't heard a rumor about butter. Have you?
No.
I'm either about to be stitched up or it's just a corny joke.
I saw her dairy-free ice cream on Instagram earlier. Let me know how that was.
And still, Chrissy Palmer now, I think it's going to be coming up to 10 minutes before you know it, of trying to get past.
He'll be getting frustrated now. But I think we're probably both getting a bit frustrated. He's definitely going to be getting a bit hot now and just wanting to do something.
Got the punchline if you're ready.
Go on.
So she said, "Did you hear the rumour about butter? Well, I'm not going to spread it."
I like that. That's a good one.
Paulina, you didn't hear it, but even Ben let out a small chuckle there.
A murmur. Might have been a burp from the monster.
It could have been a monster burp, who knows.
So Bentley looking a little bit squiffy there, starting to look a little bit unsettled. He's been put under a lot of pressure now for the last few laps. Like you say, Bentley's slightly harder on the tyres than what the Ferrari is.
The other thing that will be happening now is the in-game time is actually 8:15. So it's actually been sped up. So we started at 6 p.m. in-game time, and we're heading into darkness essentially. So you'll notice the sun setting, and then by the end of the race, it will be getting dark, if not already a bit, into darkness. So
dusk.
Quite light for 8 o'clock in the evening. I wish it was like that here.
A few more months to go yet.
Yeah, a little while yet. But in Imola, in the virtual world at the moment, it looks quite pleasant. Right, let's have a quick look at the timings anyway. So if I just bring those up on the screen, you can see the timings of who's where, and then we're ready to jump back into this battle if we need to. So Stallman is still out in front at the moment as we approach just over 35 minutes, or nearly into 35 minutes. You then got Bjorkman 11.5 seconds back. Chrissy in the background there. If we just go back to that, I knew that was going to happen. That was one hell of a save. I don't know how well you saw that through the time screen there, but he essentially went opposite lock over the curb, trying to make a move. And from Macaulay, so far back, I wasn't expecting it.
No. Can we get a replay of that? Nicely asking George. Oh, sorry, Sassman.
Yeah. So Chrissy Palmer going for a move on Macaulay just now.
I mean, this is going to show Chrissy's pace, isn't it? To see how quickly he's able to...
See what he's got left.
Yeah, to claw him back in.
I mean, that last lap was a 43.9. This one that he's on will be slow because of that incident that just happened. He's lost 3.5 seconds on his delta, if you look. We're looking at Macaulay on the main screen because he had lost a little bit as well.
Let's drop back down then. So we know Chrissy's got 3.5 seconds that he needs to claw back, and 3.5 seconds plus getting it past Macaulay successfully this time. We gave it a good go, and we said that is if he's going to make a move, it's going to have to be a risky one. But let's see what's going on with the rest of the pack then. So we've got Neil Kidd, who's still running nicely in 10th. Only a second off of Ryder in the Ferrari, so he'll be looking to make a move. And again, P10 in terms of points, Murray in P11. It's weird seeing Sheep Garage in different cars, isn't it? It's throwing me a bit.
I know it caught me, but there we are. We'll get used to it. I've just seen John Steele has entered the pits. Don't know whether that was for a pit stop or not yet. We'll soon find out. Just noticed it on the timing screen. And that puts Neil Kidd up into 9th and David Murray into 10th.
Okay, so Heath, again, he's made a couple of positions up. So he's running in P13. He really needs to try and get in the points, doesn't he? Just to not drop down, coming into this championship in 3rd, such a good effort over the last 4 races. He really needs to get into the top 10. And for any of you that are new watching, points go from 1 to 10. So it is crucial, isn't it? Because you can do the 90 minutes and effectively end up with no points, the same way that Formula 1 runs. We have decided to run this championship. When I say we, I just turn up. You guys decided to run it like that.
Yeah, we tend to vote on most of those sorts of things, which is quite nice.
We haven't seen anything of Sharman and Gillick. Am I right in saying that they was in the race as well? And where's Danny Price gone as well? We're looking.
Sharman's we're just switched to him. He's in 17th at the moment. I've just seen Curran in 18th and John Kidd in 19th, looking like he might be out of the race. I'm not sure yet. I want to see, there he is in the background there. Oh, as a Bentley decides to torpedo stage exit left in front of him. Okay, well, something obviously happened there as well. So again, we'll see if we can find out what happened to John Kidd. Because he was close to points. He was like 11th, 12th, something like that. And
yeah, strong drive. This is this is the point in the race that I really like in a 90-minute, because we're getting to the point now where you've got to start thinking about fuel, depending on the fuel load that you put in the car previously. You've got to think about tyre management. You know, this game is so realistic, isn't it, that it all comes down to that. So some people's tyres are going to start to go off, and these little mistakes of, you know, maybe trying to put your foot in the same way that you did when your tyres were at optimal, you know, lap 4, 5 or 6, depending how you set up, that's not quite there anymore. So they've got to adjust to that and make a decision with that.
Definitely. Just keep an eye as well. Ryan's loving the sunset bouncing off the orange paint. I love this time of day in game. It's actually horrible to drive in because you have the sun in your eyes, but you're quite right, it does look very good. Warren Heath giving Kurt Keith a little bit of stick about his lap times on YouTube as well. It's good. Keep your comments coming. Always love to see it. So then we are getting very close to that pit window. In fact, I think a couple of drivers have already pitted. Neil Kidd, in fact, has just gone into the pits. And we're riding on board with Danny Price, who's now technically just overtaken Neil Kidd. And he's a little bit behind Klimpson, who is on a bit of a charge as well, actually, having a good run. I think one of them, I think Klimpson might have lost one place near the start, as he just lost a bit of time there, actually. Danny's just clawed a load back. So Danny Price catching on to that Nissan then. In fact, if we can drop into the cockpit view, you'll get a wonderful kind of idea of what it looks like when the sun starts setting like this, as Danny's now looking to try and make...
Now, it's a wonderful view if you're not having to drive and it's in your eyes.
Exactly,
and this is a really, really challenging thing that seems like such a simple thing. Have you done into the night races or that day before? You know what it's like one of the last races on a race meeting, or that one where it gets pushed back because there's been a delay or something. It's really tricky, isn't it?
Especially if the track's a bit wet as well, because then it reflects off of the track too, so you can't look anywhere. So these two are coming up on that back marker. We saw the leaders passing about 4 or 5 laps ago of, his last name is S700, apparently, in game. And actually, Klimpson got through a bit cleaner there. You can see Danny's just lost a little bit of time in his Ferrari, but Klimpson goes a bit wide, as does Danny, follows him too. Oh, sorry, Warren. You're just asking what's his lap times. I read it as kind of, what are his lap times? Because he thought he has to go places.
We've actually got a new setup this evening that we're trying out. So if we have little delays or anything, it's because we've actually got more screens than what we had before, and I think it's proving it's all right at the moment.
Most part,
yeah, it's just getting used to it, isn't it?
So Kirk's last lap was a 45.4, and his best lap is a 44.4. So yeah, definitely lacking a bit of time from the front pack. But I do think he would have picked up a bit of aero damage on the front of that car early on. But then again, he was coming through.
I was just going to say this. It wouldn't surprise me if tyres are starting to go off, because that's a very inconsistent time, and he was setting in really consistent times the whole way through, wasn't he? And then to go literally a second from one lap, you know, really off to another is quite a big jump. So it's just getting to that time in the race. It's my personal thing.
But Heath is down in 11th at the minute. So one off of points, and Sharman, the other West Midlands driver, is 2 seconds ahead of him on track, but actually a lap down, so in 14th place. So the field really starting to spread out now, and I've noticed we've lost a few drivers in the last few laps as well, just through incidents. 30 drivers started and 17 remain. Always interesting to see who sticks it out, isn't it? And then there's points available at the end.
Don't get me started.
Charlotte's favourite topic, that one. I think it'd be good if we could actually see Heath on camera, because I think he's going to be having to pass his teammate in a minute, and we'll see how they do it.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. So these guys are in a Discord chat. Sometimes they look awesome together, don't they? It's actually rare that you get to see both of them on track together with this new livery.
And we sadly won't see it again, I think, after this, certainly for a little while.
Unless they cross it over onto another car.
Well, yeah, it's sadly not that easy, but you might. They might do it again.
That's how it works.
Liam would have to rearrange the couple hundred
that's all right.
rivets or bolts that he aligned up perfectly on each of them for a different car's frame. But I think Kirk's going for an AMG in the next season. There we go. Look, Sharman pulls to the side and lets Kirk come through. Rule number 1 of motorsport, don't take out your teammate. Rule number 2 of motorsport, always beat your teammate.
And rule number 3 is don't have a teammate that you're married to if you're racing against one another.
Oh, why's that?
Because I just don't think that's a good idea.
You make it sound like there was a bad experience. I thought we were
No, because we was in the same car together.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
So Heath then making his charge back up towards points placing positions. 1 more point to go, 1 more position to go to be back in the points. Roland Stallman is currently running in 7th, which is again in the points, but not enough to really change too much in the title hopes. The big one really at the minute is, can Dominic Stallman stay ahead of Chrissy Palmer? At the moment, he's got quite a comfy little gap, and Chrissy still hasn't found a way past Macaulay, but Macaulay has found a way past Bjorkman, interestingly. If we just go that little bit further up the field again, we can take a look at what's going on there. In 10th at the moment.
I thought we would start to see more people going into the pits by now.
Yeah, I've just been waiting to see. I think a couple have kind of snuck pit stops in, and that's partly what's
none of like the main
moved the order around a little bit, yeah. So Dominic Stallman then 12 seconds out in front now, and Bjorkman, yeah, a bit further back off of Macaulay, and then Chrissy a bit further back off of that. So these 4 haven't changed much since the opening laps, although they have come very close to at times. Interesting then, like you say, it's that time now. We're going to see people heading into the pits at any moment. Who's going to blink first out of the front pack? And don't forget, if you're in chat then, that means that from now we can start taking driver of the day votes. So the driver with the most votes gets extra championship points. Let us know. We'll check in on some of the other guys in a minute. I've just seen I've had a message come through from Neil Kidd on my phone, which would mean he's probably not driving the car anymore. So we'll find out what happened there in a minute as well. But I'm just trying to get myself back onto the in-game server.
Oh, yeah, well, whether he's doing a pit stop or out, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, he might just be doing his pit stop. Who knows? Oh, he's messed something up. I'm trying to understand what he means. So he had his game set for when he's taking screenshots and pictures, which means that his performance isn't ideal during a race environment. Tried to fix it in qualifying and then wasn't able to join the race while it was in progress. So he now can't rejoin.
Huh? Didn't he start the race?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So during the pit stop, he tried something and then couldn't get back in.
Right, I understand. That's annoying. Neil was having a really good run as well, wasn't he? He was in the Nissan. It's so weird to see Neil in a Nissan as well. I don't know why it's not. Well, I think we just get used to seeing Sheba Garage cars all in one make and all sort of in that nice livery that they all share between one another.
I know. It was
like Noah's Ark,
livery.
2x2.
And interestingly, they've not all gone 2x2 tonight, have they?
No.
With the different liveries.
Danny Price, we haven't really spoken about him or Stallman that much in this race, so it's probably worth checking in on them when we can. Stallman, solid there, solid performance in P6. And Danny Price as well, he's had a little bit of a race where he's lost a few paces, gained a few paces. He's kind of, he's stuck with it, and I'm really pleased to see that because he does suffer a little bit of bad luck every now and then. So he's currently only 7/10 off of Stallman. So he's in with having a look if he can get that down just a little bit more, just by a couple of temps. But they'll be looking to pit at the same-ish time. So it's kind of like almost who's going to pick the right moment at the right time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They've already actually gone a bit longer than I thought. I thought they might have opted to pit a bit sooner and then be on less fuel for the second run with the new tyres. And we've got a replay clip of Chrissy's move earlier on with Macaulay that cost him a couple of places. So we'll just quickly show you that so we can see what happened, and then we'll head back to the action. I've just been told we're having issues with that one not playing. So in that case, we should have another one available, which was what happened to John Kidd a few laps ago when he lost a load of places after making some seriously good progress. So we'll see if that one works.
Okay, while you try and sort that out, Benny, can we go back to Heath and just see what the gaps are? So if we just drop it down, actually, let's go on board with, so how far is he off? So he's currently 6 seconds off. And Warren's just asked in YouTube chat for us. So if anyone's wondering how we're seeing who's talking where, we've got a piece of software where it shows everyone talking on all different things because we're live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Is that all of them that we're live on? Yeah, I said Facebook.
Twitch, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, got them all then. Yeah, so he's, but saying that, within a blink, well, a couple of blinks, he's now 5.5 seconds off. So it seems like he's found a little bit of pace where he's going to start to reign. Bedoya?
Bedoya. So Bedoya, yeah.
I'm not very good at names, that bear with.
It's been a long day, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. 3-hour meeting. Good meeting.
So yeah, there you go, Warren. He's got 6 seconds and closing to P10, so should be in striking distance in a handful of laps if all goes well. We'll see what Bedoya's lap times are. Yeah. So Kirk's doing 44.2, so he's gone a bit quicker. Bedoya is doing 45.1. So Kirk's, yeah, about a second to half a second, or half a second to a second, sort of lap by lap, closing in 10th place. So yeah, literally 3-4 laps, something like that, should be back onto it. Just trying to keep an eye on some of these gaps around the pack. Got a number of drivers that are coming off. I've just seen that Bjorkman is back onto the rear end of Macaulay. I mean, it's been quite a good battle for second, third, fourth throughout the race, but that opening move from Dominic Stallman has proved really, really crucial so far in this race and has just allowed him to get this gap. That he's so good at building gaps, isn't he? Once you give him a chance, that's it.
Yeah, I think as well that, you know, that those 15 kilos that Chrissy had on his car, that's going to hurt him. Whichever way you look at it, over a sustained amount of time, that is going to hurt him, and I think that's been quite evident. So if Dom did finish fourth in the last race, intentionally for that, then it's kind of like, well played. It's what I would be doing if it meant that you can then go for the win in the one where there is the double points, and we need to remember that as well. It is double points. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a minute first and second will stay the same because Macaulay and Bjorkman aren't in the championship. Well, Bjorkman, I think, did actually do one of the opening rounds, but then didn't come back for the second one. So he's in 13th. He scored 3 points at Misano and then never came back for Monza. So he even if he got 30 points, it wouldn't be enough to overtake Chrissy. So I think Chrissy, you know, worst case,
quite a bit up in the championship though.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know,
up into 4th place on that front, or level with Heath in 3rd. But if Heath scores points, he'll then stay in 3rd. So Heath actually could do with finishing 10th to get that point, just to stay ahead of Bjorkman for 3rd in the championship. Curran as well, we've got to keep an eye on. We're just seeing Heath on the screen at the moment in 11th because we're chatting about it. If we go back up to Bjorkman versus Macaulay, we can get a little bit of a look at that for everyone. And don't forget, you can follow us on our socials as well. So, as Macaulay darts into the pit lane there, the Bentley going off to the right, and Bjorkman heads off for another lap. You can follow us on our socials on Instagram at InGear Motorsport, and Twitter and Facebook, and even LinkedIn and TikTok as well if you so wish. So go and say hello and be sociable around. And
if you're watching, tag us in pictures.
Not heard a great deal in chat for a little bit, I think. So let's have a little look and see if I've not seen anything there. No, not a great deal. Don't forget, guys, Driver of the Day vote is available now. So you can vote for your Driver of the Day from any time, or basically whoever you want to give a point to. As I've just seen, Ryder in 11th picked himself up a stop-and-go penalty, probably for track limits, which we haven't mentioned, actually, but is quite a crucial element around here. You know, it's a lot of tracks it comes into play, but here especially, you've got to be so aware of the track limits. You only get 3 strikes, warnings essentially. If you then run off track and gain an advantage a 4th time, you then get a penalty. And particularly corners like this one that these guys are going through now, or about to, just in a couple of quarters time, there we are. And you can bounce on the curves very easily, and all of a sudden the car just runs really wide. Neil Kidd's coming with a vote for Danny P. As did I just look away and see a car spinning in front of us on our other screen?
I was doing an Instagram story. I'm not gonna
He's just moved into points, but was that because of a pit stop? Yeah, I was looking at 3 things at once there, but someone might let me know, either Ben or George, if someone just had a little spin somewhere. Well, Neil Kidd's watching on YouTube. Just voted for Danny P. What a silly goose, Neil. What a silly goose. Changing your settings and not being able to get back in. But some seriously good pace in that Honda tonight.
Yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. He has messaged me again on WhatsApp, but I'll have a look at that in a minute when we're not trying to see what's going on. And if we could bring the camera back up into either Bjorkman, Heath, whoever, let's see who we find. So Bjorkman, you can see then still a substantial gap, isn't it, to Dominic Stallman. Dom's just really romped away in that last sort of 15-minute period where everyone else has had traffic or people to worry about. I've just seen Chrissy's down in 8th. I would imagine that means Chrissy's now made his pit stop, because he looked like he was relatively solid, albeit just out of position from that point. Kidd just says silly goose to himself again. Now I see John Kidd's back into 13th after that little incident earlier on, so that's good to see that he's made a bit of a recovery. Again, within striking distance of points as the rest of the race unfolds. He's got Sharman actually not much in front of him, so that might be worth checking out if we drop down to John Kidd for a minute. So you can see then John Kidd, the red Ferrari, chasing down Sharman in the WMR machine with the big menacing grin on the front of the Lamborghini there. So they're rounding out their lap. Again, I don't think these guys have pitted yet, so we may well see them pit in the next couple of laps. Everyone seems to be doing everything all at once. Danny Price in the pits this lap, we can see on our screens. And Dominic Stallman has also pitted this lap. And these two have just gone past Danny Price coming out of the pits there.
Oh, sorry, I had a little wince there. The Sharman Kidd.
Danny played that quite nicely,
yeah.
actually.
I was just like, oh.
You can see the blue flags waving.
Back in there, yeah.
But there you go there. So John actually lost a little bit of time there because he was having a bit of a scrap with Sharman, but now Sharman loses a bit of time and John might be able to get the run on him. So John the Ferrari at the back, the red one, Danny Price has just unlapping him, lapping then coming out of the pits after serving his pit stop.
Yeah, John just kind of needs to be cautious here around Sharman. Not because Sharman will do anything intentionally, but it's looking a bit...
Yeah, he's probably on old tyres at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying to think of the right expression without it coming across bad, but he's looking a bit twitchy. It's probably a word that I'm looking for.
I mean, that all got very tight very quick. The pit lane just threw Danny Price right into the middle of that action. Yeah. He just come out on fresh tyres, wanting to get up to speed nicely, and then suddenly there's a big battle raging on in front of him. But actually dispatched of that quite quickly. They're meant to not impede him anyway, but it's still easier said than done sometimes to kind of navigate blue flag situations like that. Oh, John Kidd outbraked himself a bit there, and I thought he was going to take Liam Sharman with him. just like you were saying, it's so easy to make a mistake in these longer races.
But he's back going straight away. It hasn't thrown him, and he has got more pace than Sharman, hasn't he? So if he can get past him, he's going to kind of be out in clean air.
What we need to see then, sorry, just to cut you off there, because there's been a lot of change now. So Clemson's running in second, but I don't think has pitted yet. Murray is in third, but I don't think has pitted yet. And Dominic Stallman has fed back out in fourth place just behind them. So if we go to Stallman, we haven't seen a great deal of Dominic Stallman, but he has had a very good race on his end so far. We can then just kind of see how he navigates back through these guys, or if they go into the pit. So Stallman in the white Ferrari, and then you've got Murray in the Lexus just up ahead a spot. I just had a comment on Facebook from Linda Taylor. My mum's actually made it into the comment section.
Hi, Lynn.
Look at that, I can literally say hi, Mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it was a bit close coming out of the pitch just then, which was good to see. Mum, don't forget you can rotate your phone to see it in a bigger screen. Don't mind me, everyone. Well, there we are. So Stallman gets past Murray back into third place. To say, I think Murray is still yet to pit. Chrissy has served his pit stop down in sixth, and so is McCauley. So Murray's kind of the little pin in the middle of that one, about to come out at some point, and that will release them two to come back through. But they're about 13 or so seconds back anyway. So shouldn't be an issue just yet, but Murray will then come back out roughly where he was, I would imagine. Although still, the drivers continue to drop like flies. 15 left out of the 30 that started. Imola does claim a few cars throughout the course of the race around here in this game, with these curbs can just be brutal.
If it's genuine reasons, fine. If it's not, then sort yourself out.
What about if you mess up your settings trying to rejoin and adjust them, and then you kick yourself out of the race?
Then you're a goose, aren't you?
A goose or a silly goose?
Silly goose.
I love it every now and then. We just get a little chuckle from Ben in the background.
It's right. I just sent him a picture of Betsy, the new puppy, to make him feel better.
Well, I should probably have a look and see if we've got any replays or anything like that to try out. But I know we've been having issues with that side of things tonight.
Yeah, I think they are good to go, kind of ready when we want them. So now probably a nice time. Nice to actually have a bit of time looking at Don Stallman on the screen here. I think it's very easy to not give him enough time. That is probably very deserved time. And as I said that, it was looking, we can see, we've got it set up so we've got his in-car view on our screen. And that didn't look too easy coming through that chicane there. That was a little bit of catch of oversteer there. So it's not easy for him by any stretch of the imagination. He still has to work very, very hard. He puts a lot of time in, doesn't he, as well with it. Very committed to it, that's for sure. So, stop and go for car 20. Who's car 20? I think that's Curran. No, it's Clemson. Clemson just collected himself a stop and go penalty. That will be for track limits almost definitely at this point in the race. So while we're having a replay issue on the live stream here, you can go and check out some of the key moments over on our socials. So again, on InGear Motorsport on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's all over on there. So, and LinkedIn as well, if that happens to be your preferred channel of choice on this wonderful evening. But yeah, go and check out the replays there. You can see some of these key moments that have happened, and if you've just joined us recently, you can recap some of them. Didn't quite manage to get the race start in there, but we've got put everything from a couple of laps onwards coming out on the socials to see, which is good. So there we are then. Dominic Stallman still in second on the screen, but actually Bjorkman is yet to pit. So we shall see what point he comes. I mean, he's leaving this very late in the race. It might be possible if you're running the right fuel map and brave enough to just go, oh wow, that was a lot of time. Oh, that's a back marker, that's why. I was going to say, it might be possible to actually do a whole race distance without pit stop if you wanted to, but I think it would be a bit risky. I mean, it's a very ambitious way of going at it, but has he played it that he knew coming into this that if he made that move early on, the whole ballast situation for Chrissy Palmer, that if he could get enough of a gap that he could potentially just wind things back a bit in the later stages.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very risky, but...
Yeah, still a few positions left to change around, I think. So Chrissy Palmer's back into 4th. He's still behind the Bentley of Macaulay by a few seconds, trying to do that. Let's just check out some of the other areas. A few more in-car views Warren's asked for, so we can ride on board with the race leader for a little bit and show you that.
Let's hope you don't give him commentator's curse by doing that.
Well, yeah. Dom's one of the few people that seems to manage to escape that most of the time.
Oh my God, you need to touch with Dave just said that. Like, why would you say that?
So just done a 42.8 that round. I've just seen Curran down in 14th. Nice bit of curve action there, bouncing around over them. Curran's down in 14th, so he must have had another couple of issues. Heath is now into 9th, so well done, Heath. Nice recovery from earlier on. There were more cars behind him than that as well, but they must have had issues and left or whatever's happened there. So we're, bar a couple, just down to our main crew, actually. It's only, and even then there's a couple of those missing. But Bjorkman then has pitted this lap, as you can see. So there he comes into the pits, the race leader at the moment, but soon to be overtaken by Dom Stallman, I'm sure. Depending on whether they take tyres or not, they can be in the pits for 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
I really like his livery. I think it looks good. I think anything on a Lambo looks good, though, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
It's like a cool looking car, isn't it? Interesting that Murray's hanging on behind Stallman a bit there. Cool. Well, as lovely as it is to watch Bjorkman sat in the pit lane, if we could jump back onto one of the cars on the track.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint, race director.
and good timing there, so jump straight on there, Chrissy Palmer. Did that look like he was behind?
Sharman.
Sharman, okay.
Yeah, he's just coming back through on Sharman at the moment.
Yeah, and if you wonder why that, and again, we do always mention this, but when in these longer races, obviously with back markers, it's not so easy to see on the timing board that you
Heath,
guys can see. It is Heath. That's what threw me. That's what I was thinking.
They've got similar liveries, just a slightly different shade of colour, isn't it?
Sharman's green and Heath's grey. Yeah. So what position is Heath actually in then?
9th.
Right, okay.
So Chrissy is in 3rd. So Bjorkman's had a really bad run, whatever's happened. I think he's still in the pits as well. So Bjorkman's had an issue with his pit stop. Again, not sure what's happened there, but if George in the background, someone could just check and see how long Bjorkman's actually spent in the pits. I mean, he's still in the pits now. I don't know whether that's an error in how he's configured his pit stop. You might have had loads of damage that's getting repaired. You can tell them not to repair it, but you, of course, don't have the luxury of a race engineer that you can talk to over the radio and say what you do or don't want. You've got to actually configure it in the menus while you're driving around, which is incredibly hard to do, especially on tracks like this where it's quite busy. So Chrissy then still closing on Heath at the moment. You can see the orange InGear Motorsport car. Got some red Novatech logos dotted around it. His
pace has dropped off quite a bit, hasn't it, from his best lap, which was a 42.5. He's now running at, well, his last lap was a 45.9. So he's lost a little bit of pace over the course of the race, hasn't he?
Yeah, just a little bit. Whether that's ballast, whether it's just after the sort of what happened at the start knocked him a little bit, who knows? He's usually quite chatty after the races at the moment, so I'm sure we can find out.
General fatigue. I think that's, again, probably don't talk about it enough in the same way that real life motorsport has become, you know, is a thing in terms of fitness, that, you know, this is still very full on, isn't it? You know, I mean, you've done longer races than this on here, but an hour and a half, that's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's you know, you still got to concentrate. You can't stop concentrating for a second, otherwise you are in the gravel or in the wall or in the back of another car. So, you know, in that sense, it is intense. And then if you've got VR headsets on, which most of the guys do, you know, it's a little bit of weight on your head, but it is a bit like having a helmet on. It gets hot. And just trying to drive in general and concentrate for that long, you do find you get quite hot.
Yeah.
See if it is in the summer.
And I was going to say, it was one thing, you know, we started this InGear Motorsport in the summer when we had the amazing weather, you know, for us that were on furlough at that point in time, a dream. But actually, for these races, it was really tough for the guys, wasn't it?
Do you mean us on furlough? I wish.
All right, well, I was on furlough. This says me, who carried on studying every day and stuff. Had a full-blown schedule for myself.
I was going to say you didn't exactly stop, but well, just watching Chrissy, you saw the car look a little bit unsettled over that curve there. Right, where do we have any potential battles brewing? So let's just put the timing screens up, have a quick rundown, and then we'll jump on board with a couple other drivers. So Dominic Stallman still leads the race then with just over 20 minutes to go. McCauley is in second in the Bentley. Chrissy Palmer is now up into third after that bad pit stop from Bjorkman. Whatever happened, we will try and find out. Roland Stallman is in fourth. Great for Vegas in performance in the team series strong for them. Bjorkman is in fifth. Danny Price is in sixth. Bedoya is in seventh. Darren Murray in eighth. Kirk Heath into ninth. And just waiting to see what that gap is for Heath to the car ahead, but we'll check that in a minute. Ryder in 10th. John Kidd in 11th. Sharman in 12th. S700 has been putting those laps in, learning every lap that he goes, is in 13th. And Curran is in 14th. So that is the order for now. 30 cars started, 14 remain. I mean, at this rate, you might just need to finish to be in the points if they carry on like this in the last 20 minutes.
But what does that prove?
Yeah, proves you should always stick it out, never give up.
Thank you.
That's one of race director Ben's sayings, that is. He might have a bad start to a race, but he'll always stick it out to the end. In the gravel pit watching from the sidelines, yeah. He just said that in my ear. That was his words, not mine.
Doesn't Ben do like 3 laps of this and he's actually driving, go, yeah, I've had enough now?
That's literally it, yeah. He just spectates from the gravel after 3 laps. That's good. That's good. He's got a new role now where he can issue penalties to people and add ballast. Being race director, so he's loving life. Right then, it's now starting to get dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 8:30 in game time. 9:30, sorry, in game time. So we had sunset. The lights are now on the cars as they head into darkness in the last sort of 20 minutes. So quite apt timing there, I would say, on the setup of that, coming into darkness, which is good. And no rain for this one as well, after all the rain we've had last time. By the way, we've had one driver of the day vote for Heath and one driver of the day vote for Danny Price. What I would say is Danny Price, I think, has also changed car. He went for the Ferrari, didn't he? So rules-wise, people are meant to be in the same car to be in the championship points the whole way through. So that will, based on the rules, go to Heath.
I've had a brain fade. What was he in before?
The Reiter Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm back in people.
Right, let's see. There was a gap. There was a battle that I wanted to see. Just looking on my end as well to see what there was and who's close.
It's all spaced out a little bit now.
Everyone has spaced out a bit.
Yeah, and you find this with the pit stops, and I think...
Are there any McLarens still running? Ian's just said. No, there's not. I mean, I don't know if we even had any to start with. So the series here has been the Italian series that we do. So everyone's been mostly in Italian cars, Italian tracks throughout, but then there's been a couple of others.
Is that Ian Hudson? Ian, the driver? Ian, if that's you...
I recognise the motorbike picture.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking. I was like, I swear there's a picture of me.
And he likes McLarens, doesn't he? He likes
that's what just made me think of
Busted Ian.
That was good, Miss Marple, wasn't it?
That was very good.
Like, that was sharp, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's over on YouTube for anyone wondering that might be watching on Twitch or Facebook. So we're keeping an eye on the chat. If you're watching anywhere else, let us know.
I know it is. I know. Yeah.
Okay. So Murray then having a big battle with Bedoya and Danny Price, and on the back of that is Heath. So things have just suddenly heated up out of nowhere, which is good to see. We've got lap cars, unlapped cars, but Macaulay has Heath trying to unlap himself by the looks of it.
So Ian, when's Ian gonna jump on this then?
Yeah, Ian, when are you joining?
Yeah. That can be the next project.
Danny Price that we're trying to see, isn't it? So Bedoya and Murray going neck and neck then, there we are. And looks like Bedoya then in the darker coloured car is going to get the run at the moment. Sorry, Murray in the dark coloured car, Bedoya in the white Ferrari. Well, I was having a couple of extreme issues there, but we're back now. I can see everything properly, so that's good. So Murray then has got that move done on Bedoya. It looked like it was all getting quite tricky. Imola's a hard track anyway, and they were just running two abreast around the middle section of the lap there, dropping down then into the final segment of the lap. And looks like Murray got that job done quite nicely. I think we'll get a replay of that put up on socials for you. So George in the background will get Murray and Bedoya's little battle just there. So we'll be able to watch that properly. Ian said they're all too good for him.
Nah.
I don't believe that for a second. Once he puts a bit of practice in, he'll be well up to speed, I can imagine.
Exactly.
We have actually got a fun race coming up in a few weeks as well, which isn't live streamed. So even less excuse if you want to come and get involved.
For God's sake, I can just imagine my dad then getting us set up as well. That would be carnage.
I think Martin would have a penalty before he even starts the race somehow.
All my dad wants to do is be race director.
He has to give himself a penalty, probably.
So, question then for people that maybe aren't so familiar with using VR, and probably question's probably more steered towards the VR side of things. Is it as dark as what it's showing on the screen so that everyone can see? Is it dark or is it lighter? Because, you know, these guys are an hour and a quarter into a race here. Fatigue is definitely kicking in. If it naturally gets darker, that triggers your brain to get tired.
I was just going to say, if you go to an in-car view, Ben, then we can sort of get an idea. But he's just done it, so very good. Yeah, I mean, so in VR again, I wouldn't say it's necessarily any darker, but the thing with VR is you do sort of see the pixels off the screen a little bit where your eyes are so close to it, obviously. They've got newer ones now that are getting better and better all the time, so you can pick out the details better. But yeah, it's still certainly something that I would say is maximised or multiplied a little bit, so i.e. vision's a little bit down anyway because of bright sun, heavy rain or darkness. It is a little bit worse in VR in my opinion. But not too bad. You know, it's not too different to what you're seeing there on the screen at the moment. But yeah, just that little bit darker perhaps. So Heath has the lead on driver of the day votes at the moment then, after his comeback through currently to 9th after falling quite far down.
I mean, that is a proper comeback drive, isn't it? Because he dropped back down into like 23rd or something at one point.
To be fair as well, Murray's had a really good job to get back up into 7th. He dropped down to similar sort of positions, and it was actually Heath that I think caused most of Murray's problems at the first corner.
I mean, without wanting to jinx this too much for Danny Price there, he's actually been the most stable one out of positions the whole way through this race from start to where we currently are at the moment. So I think he started 5th or 6th, dropped down to 7th.
Which driver was that, sorry?
Danny Price.
Yeah.
But, you know, he stayed very consistent throughout the whole time. He's managed to avoid any trouble. We saw him have that quite a fierce battle early on in the race.
Bjorkman is now battling with Roland Stallman on your screen. Sorry to cut you off there, but that was Bjorkman in the yellow Lamborghini going around the outside of Roland Stallman. And they're still two abreast then as they hurtle down into the chicane coming up. Bjorkman bravely takes the line and waits for Stallman to get out of the way, and that he does. Lovely little move, actually, that one, getting through. That was nicely done. Little bit of... it seems like he's just shaping up as the darkness is setting in. A couple of drivers probably more comfortable than others, it would seem, in those conditions. It's all of a sudden just gone very dark, hasn't it?
Yeah, you can see with Bjorkman though, he's very confident in putting the power down. He's very confident in late braking as well. The car seems very settled. It doesn't seem to be too much squirming about that there might be in such late braking. So he's definitely had an edge on that. I think it just sort of dropped off in the middle of the race a little bit for him there. So a good move, you know, he's made it stick and he's actually driving away, which is not an easy thing to do from Roland Stallman.
Come out of the pits in P6, don't forget, after that bad pit stop. So he's again recovering from that quite nicely is Robert Bjorkman. Chrissy Palmer, next person up the road, but by a little bit of some distance, something like 30 odd seconds. So it gives you a hint as to just how much time he lost earlier on. But yeah, still a good shout. Anyone else there in chat? Give us a hello, let us know if you're watching. What do you think is going to happen in the final stages? Dominic Stallman's looking nice and comfortable out front, but you never know what can happen in these races, especially in the later stages while it's getting darker and colder on the track like this.
Do you know what we can say? My prediction that Curran was going to finish in second, pretty sure that might not happen now with 11 minutes to go. I mean, 13th. Yeah, I mean, something dramatic could happen, but yeah, I think I was a bit off mark there. Shame for him though, because he has run really well this whole championship. So the last couple of rounds, he's you know, he's been pretty consistent. He's got caught up in a few little things, hasn't he? But overall, pace-wise, it's where he needed to be. But I think Heath, for me, is the big one over this championship.
Yeah, he's definitely made a marked improvement.
Yeah.
This has been one of his sort of worst races so far, but still in the points at the moment. We're going to have a little go one more time with replays because the move that David Murray pulled earlier was pretty good. It was pretty good from what I saw, but I just had it confirmed that it was a good move from the guys in the background. So we'll have a go. I think we're ready in the background. Ben will let me know, I'm sure. Cool. So that should be playing now then. It was David Murray making a move on Bedoya earlier on. It seems to be playing in that weird quarter view again, but we'll take it. So into Aqua Minerale, just stuffs it up the inside. They then run level. Oh, there we go, look. Well, there you go, everyone. With 10 minutes on the clock, we've cracked how to do a replay. Well done, team.
He's actually flashing his lights there, isn't he?
Yeah, wants to get past.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, looking at the onboard where he just puts the nose there, that was brave, but you know, he got fully level by the apex. They're then running two abreast up the hill afterwards. You can see that playing again from the outside view. That was very nicely done.
I think that was very good driving on both sides there. Really good move. But Stallman, well done to him. Was it Stallman he was overtaking? Or am I looking at it?
No, Bedoya. So it was Murray overtaking Bedoya.
Yeah. Old flashing the light technique there.
Yeah, flashing the lights work well.
As if someone's going to pull over, just let you pass at that point, but it's enough to distract them. So it's a simple but effective way of doing it.
Yeah, no, nice job in getting that replay. Yeah. Working guys in the background because that was good to see. On the interestingly on the subject of David Murray, he has stayed on the back of Dominic Stallman's bumper. He is a lap down, but he stayed on the back of his bumper ever since Dom got past him on the pit stops. So, well, not past him, but came out just in front of him, I should say. So he's literally less than a second behind the whole time. So he's got some real pace, you know, in the Lexus. So whatever the Shiba Garage guys done tonight, they've all taken different cars, but they've all been very fast in their cars, respectively. Maybe they're just normally trying to run too closely together when they're all in the same car, same livery. Yeah, so I think that we're just seeing that little battle with Murray and Bedoya earlier on. He had a couple goes and then sort of resorted to flashing the lights in the latter stages of it before then putting that absolute move on up the inside at Aqua Minerale.
What a name for a corner.
It's a great corner name, isn't it?
Yeah, you like saying it as well, you can tell.
In all honesty, it's because I don't know the names of all these corners that well.
Don't say that, then sign it out, pretend you do know them all. So I think just if we're just doing...
I've not really raced here in the real world. Most of them have got real world experience. It kind of helps.
Yeah. It looks like a really good track, though. It's definitely one.
It's good in game, yeah. I've raced it in game a couple of times. It's fun.
I think at F1 this year, or last year, they went to Imola. I'm not just making this up, am I?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and they all really enjoyed it. It was all quite positive sort of comments around it. So if we just do a little recap of how this racing, I think one of the really pivotal points for me is that Chrissy couldn't get past that Bentley of Macaulay. I think that was really kind of set the tone for where this was going to... I think, well, there's probably two things, isn't there? Dom Stallman getting away from him at the very beginning and literally getting away from the group.
Even before that, Chrissy running off track and letting Dom get past.
Yeah.
Dom did put his nose there, and that was just enough for Chrissy perhaps to go a bit wide, thinking he needed to give him space and didn't need to.
But I think that the biggest thing, though, is that Bentley of Macaulay, and you've got to give it to Macaulay. He made that Bentley even bigger than what it actually is. Made it almost impossible there for Chrissy. And I think Chrissy realised after having that little moment of getting pretty sideways, trying to make a move, and you called it, you said he's going to have to do something pretty drastic if he's going to do it.
Definitely. I was just trying to keep an eye on the gap. I mean, Chrissy's like 10 seconds off of Macaulay with 6 minutes on the clock. You'd think that won't be enough, but Chrissy's last lap was a 44.2. And Macaulay's was a 47.0. I mean, so Chrissy is a lot quicker, but I don't know if that was just that particular lap.
No, what I was going to say there is, if you actually look, I mean, you guys, we're looking at two different views here, but I'm looking at the one that everyone that's watching can see. That is very, very dark out there now. That's gone a chunk load racer. It's now nearly 10 o'clock in the race. Is it nearly 10 or?
Nearly 10 p.m.
Yeah. In it, Chrissy's got experience of night racing. So is this going to help? Is that where that extra time is now coming from?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, Chrissy's done some 24-hour races, both real world and in game. So all that helps. But actually, on that particular lap, it looks like he's just dropped back a little bit again. So if he wants to try and get in second, he's running out of laps to do it. And can't be affording to have slower laps like that. I mean, still, a podium's a really good result, especially with the 15 kilograms ballast. The odds were against him in that sense on a track that is quite hard on tyres anyway. So I guess that's also going to have played a big part for him. But can't really take it away, like we're saying, from Dom Stallman. He got himself into the lead, put himself in the right place, and hasn't put a foot wrong since. Heath still in 9th, Bedoya up in 8th. Just having a little look through the order for you all. John Kidd just one place out of points to try and recover from that incident earlier on. And Curran is still in 13th, 12 seconds behind Sharman, who's 3 seconds behind John Kidd. So we may well see some changes there. What sort of lap times is Curran doing? I'll have a little check of that as well. Drivers are all very over the place track position wise. Might be worth taking a quick look at Chrissy Palmer, who's about to try and get past Liam Sharman to unlap himself, if we could do that. Oh, they are good. 44.4s for Curran. So Curran's lapping quite well, just right at the wrong end of the track, basically, as Chrissy goes up the inside nicely and Sharman gets out of the way.
As we reshuffle my Mac so it doesn't die. There we go.
Well, just adjusting one of our many screens that we have back here. Okay, right, let's just have a little bit of a stock take what's going on. I think we're all good on replays. At least we've got them working towards the end there. We might be able to have a look at one of the incidents from earlier on. I don't know, again, if the guys let me know in the background if we can do that just before we head into the final couple laps. See earlier on, but we're not so sure.
I feel like it's been quite a busy race, really, for a 90-minuter.
Definitely.
In a good, busy way, though. I don't think there's been anything too dramatic. There hasn't been anything that we've seen that's looked too untoward or anything like that. So
So it looks like he's going to get driver of the day point again at the moment, unless any other votes flood in for another driver still competing. Just so you know, the ones that are still actually actively in the series are Stallman, both Stallmans, Chrissy Palmer, Bjorkman is actually still part of the series, Bedoya, Heath, and Sharman and Curran. So they are all able to be voted on. If you'd like to give them an extra point, we'll basically calculate the points. We'll know who the winner is after this, and the rest of the points will go out onto our socials. If you missed it before, we have got a number of the replays available on our socials as well, so you can kind of recap the key moments of the race over on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, or we're on TikTok, but I don't think the replays will be over on there. But go check it out anyway. Why not? So at the moment then, Chrissy Palmer is on your screen, the InGear Motorsport car, rounding off then what is now going to be the final couple laps of this race. 50 laps in at the moment for him. Race leader Dominic Stallman will be getting very close to his last lap of the race, and he'll cross the line soon, and you'll hear last lap. Will leaders on the last lap. And amazingly, after coming into this in second place, if he can keep it all as is, he will jump that one place higher up into first place.
This is where we have to do quick maths, isn't it?
No, we don't have to do too much quick maths. It's not too bad. There's 30 points for second place today, first place today, and 24 for second.
It's not as bad.
And there's 2 points between them.
I remember on the race of a couple of championships ago, and was like frantically sat there, and I had pieces of paper everywhere trying to work it out.
I'm just laughing because of Warren saying he should get another point for Heath.
Good vibes.
He's handsome, good looks like his dad. Nice.
And for supporting him the whole way through, like supporter of the day.
Yeah, it's been good to have you on, Warren. Thanks for watching and commenting. It's always nice to do this with people chatting away in the various chats. I think I just heard leaders on the last lap. So there he is on your screens at the moment. Ever since he got himself into the lead in the first opening couple laps of this race, has pretty much led the entire time, bar a quick switch around in pit stops while he waited for the other drivers to pit. Look at that, he's so close to brushing the edge of the track on the exit of some of them corners. It's hard to tell when you look at it in the dark like this, but that is grass on the edge. Should we ride on board with him then for the final few parts of this? He's done an absolutely sterling job the whole evening. And like Charlotte said earlier on, sometimes it's so easy to not see them for ages when they're out front like this. But he does deserve a little bit.
He literally hasn't put a foot wrong, has he? Let's be honest.
I'm sure he's a robot sometimes. Just that German precision over the course of 90 minutes, it always serves him well, doesn't it? And then once he's crossed the line, we'll check out the rest of the pack. But it was Macaulay running in second. Still looks like it was, and that's 33 seconds back.
I mean, really good effort.
There you go then. Dominic Stallman crosses the line and takes not just this race win, but the championship win for the Italian Winter Series. I really thought someone was going to have a good stab at it this time, and Chrissy came close. But when it all come down to the final race, Dom Stallman comes out on top once again.
Went down to the wire though. It's good to come into the last round like this.
Definitely, yeah. It was there's quite a lot of anticipation for this one. I could just tell by everyone getting a bit more hyped on socials and in the Discord chat. We had a couple sort of unusual names to see in contention. Curran's definitely a fast driver, and so is Heath. But the fact that they were within such a close distance to win tonight as well, that was added pressure. You can see Murray in the background flashing his lights to say well done. While we switched across now to Chrissy Palmer. Well, Chrissy will come across the line in second place then for InGear Motorsport. Third place in the race, second place in the championship. And Bjorkman crosses the line for a also solid fourth place after that bad pit stop. We'll find out what happened for that. Probably get that put up on social somewhere as well. Thank you everyone in chat. Good to see you. Thanks Ian. Thanks Warren. We'll have a little roundup and an interview with the drivers in a minute for anyone who wants to stick around and see what they have to say. We'll see who we can get on. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's tuned in so far for the year. It's been good, hasn't it? We've had a couple new names crop up.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Which is good. So then, there's your finished order of Dominic Stallman in first place, M. Macaulay in second place, Chrissy Palmer third, Bjorkman fourth, Roland Stallman fifth. That means Vegas Sim Performance will win the team championship for this one. Murray in sixth, Heath in seventh. So Kirk got himself back up into seventh after being down in 20 plus later in the race, which is great. Good by him. Danny Price eighth, Ryder ninth. Where did Murray go?
Sixth.
Oh yeah, there he is. It was like it was blocked out of my vision for a moment. And again, Bedoya, I mentioned earlier on, has joined us only recently in our races, so well done to Bedoya for getting a point-scoring finish then in, I think it's his second race event with us, third race, because he'd done 2 at Monza and 1 here, so good effort by them. So race director will be screenshotting that result in the background, and that will then be posted out onto our socials also very soon. And this time I don't even have to do it because George is here tonight, which makes it even better. Well, you can see then on the screen most of the drivers heading into the pits after their in-lap. I quite like that most of them actually do an in-lap. They don't just pull over and quit.
Yeah, I think it's nice that you can. I mean, we had different views there, but I was watching Stallman have a little weave and a celebration, and yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It kind of actually makes you think of real life because everyone has a little showboat at the end of the race, don't they?
I mean, sometimes I've seen them just go flying into each other at the end of the race as well, which is equally quite fun to watch.
Well,
in the
spectator side of things.
In sim racing, anyway. Maybe not so much in the real world.
I was going to say, where the adults are fighting with one another and not the 8-year-old children that have had the Barney on the track.
Well, that'll potentially shake things up between Heath and Curran. I'll have to investigate that one on championship standings. So Heath, I think, is likely to hang on to third place in the championship, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Just seeing some messages fly through in Discord already from everyone. So probably a good time to just mention that and have a bit of a chit chat about everything that's just unfolded, I think, isn't it? And about if you want to get involved in future races. But, one moment. So I think if we break that down.
Well, then break it down.
Yeah, break it down.
Break it down.
Welcome back to studio, by the way. This is the miracle of live streams. Works wonderfully, doesn't it? Yeah, if we break that down then over the last 90 minutes, obviously a lot happened. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head early, though. The move early on with Chrissy running off, letting Stallman get through was pretty pivotal. And then
kind of sealed the championship, didn't it? I think is the way I look at it. I
think we tried to keep an open mind at that point, but we know Stallman very well that he's just going to romp away if he gets the chance, which he did. 33 seconds over second place at the end of 90 minutes.
I actually think he's gone. I think the normal guys that are in the championship got closer to him and everything bunched up again. And there's always been a really good sort of mid-pack group with like the main sort of Discord that are in InGear Motorsport. But I feel like Dom's gone another bit again, even away from our Stallman or Roland Stallman, which is his dad. So a bit controversial there.
Yeah, he did just find a bit. And I think Chrissy had done that as well, though. Chrissy, I know, had put a lot of testing in to get ready and worked a lot on the setups. He said he found a setup somewhere else because people share them out on different places on other Discords and on YouTube and so on. And he found one that he said was really good. So I know he worked quite hard on that front. And, he definitely had that little chunk of extra pace in qualifying. He was 4 tenths quicker. Yeah. So just couldn't really translate that into the win. That just took that one mistake. It just goes to show it's not always the fastest driver that wins the race, or even, comes second in that case as well. So, it was good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did. It went really quick as well. So.
Race director in the background. How did you find that one? Anything you'd like me to pass on to all your fans out there?
I can't hear him, so.
Something about sandwiches.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Classic. Oh dear. Right, let's see who's stuck around. Most of them are all there. I never really check with Dom if he'd like to chat or not. So I tend to always try and find out if they're happy first. So what I'll do, I'll talk to Chrissy. Chrissy's always up for a chat, isn't he? So I'm going to bring him up and chat to us. I'll make sure I mute myself so he can hear me. All right. So Chrissy Palmer's going to join us. Everyone, to see if he's here.
Hopefully he's not swearing or something.
Chrissy, are you there? Can you hear me?
How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, you're all right, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, dude. I'm good. Enjoyed that race, but obviously probably not so much for your end. I mean, talk us through it from your view.
I haven't really got an answer. I lost 2 seconds a lap from testing to race. Got no answer for you.
Got no answer for you.
Put my setup on. I haven't got a clue.
Well, I mean, your times were still pretty solid around the sort of middle of the first stint. When you went for the low 43s, early 42s, that was like fastest on track. So I think pace was there. But it looked like you dropped off. I mean, obviously you had ballast from the last race as well. That probably wasn't helping tyres.
Oh, did I?
I thought you might say that.
Oh yeah.
I said to you, so Chrissy, in your defence, I said at the very start of this, earlier when we were setting up for this, I was like, do the guys know if they've got the ballast on from last Tuesday? Because it's like, it's the race rules, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got away with ballast last week because we forgot to put it on. But yeah, this week we remembered, or Ben remembered, I should say.
I thought, yeah.
Just throw Ben under the bus.
Yeah, no, I'd well just throw Ben under the bus. So yeah, I mean, there was a move early on basically where you got away and you held the lead, and then Dom got past. Now it looked like he kind of put his nose there, and you probably gave him a bit of space as if he was going to go through, and then just dropped a wheel on the gravel. Was it something like that, or?
No, I just hit the brakes and I wasn't going to stop in time, so I went past the corner a little bit so that I didn't cause a huge crash. Because I was like, this isn't going to work quite right. So I just bailed out of it a little bit, to be honest.
And how was it trying to get past the Bentley of Macaulay throughout that race? Because that looked quite tricky as well.
Yeah, I had no answer. I was quick in places he wasn't, but unfortunately they weren't good places for overtaking. So I was sort of I was trying to figure it out, but unfortunately I couldn't figure it out on this one. But it was a great fun race anyway. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it did look like a good one. I mean, we had 30 cars on the grid at the start, and then 15 or 14 finished. So there was quite a lot going on. So I think I know you're going to be back for the next one, but is that you're going to join us for the next GT3 Euro Series?
Should be, as long as I'm sure we'll still be in lockdown, won't we? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yes, is the answer to that.
Yeah, a couple of weeks time.
Good answer.
Cool. All right, good stuff.
Awesome.
I'll let you go back and chat with everyone else, and I'll catch up with you in a bit.
Awesome. Thanks, bud. Have
Cheers,
a good
mate.
one. Cheers.
See ya.
He seems in quite good spirit still.
He always is, isn't he? Like, he's so good with it. You can definitely tell he's been media trained from his hardcore racing days. So yeah, he's always a good one to pull up.
Well, there you go then. So Chrissy will be second in the championship, and Dom first, and we'll get the rest of the results posted out onto socials in due course, and you'll be able to check it out there as well and see what the final result was. But I hope everyone enjoyed that, Emma, this evening. Just a couple things. If you want to get involved in any of the races, the first thing to do is to click the link to join our Discord. That is on YouTube. You'll find it on other locations as well fairly recently, but it's on every description for the videos on YouTube when we go live. And there's also a Discord ad right at the top of our YouTube channel as well. So you can find that there, or you go to the website, InGearMotorsport.com, and you can also get the Discord link from that. So that's the first place to go, whether you want to just get more involved in and seeing what we're up to in Discord and what the races are and the calendar and stuff, or if you want to join the races, you can do that as well. So we'd love to have more people involved. It seems to just be steadily growing all the time, which is great, from when we started back in April last year. we'll have to plan something for a year anniversary at some point in the near future. So we've got a few ideas going for that. But why are you looking a bit like that for?
Sorry, InGear Motorsport gets a proper 1 year anniversary. Lockdown,
that wasn't my fault that we
that.
That wasn't my fault. That's Covid's fault. Yeah, we were literally days away from booking Venice, weren't we?
Yeah,
anyway, that's nearly a year ago. Cool. Right. Well, I guess any last things for your end before we say bye to everyone?
No, just good job by the team. Good job by Mr. Ben, race director. Thank you so much to George as well for dropping in. Well done to you, because you do all the hard work on Discord and all the socials and stuff like that, and I just turn up. It's pretty much
but
how
we still would be able to do it without you.
So yeah, no, good job
10 times
everyone,
harder on your own, so thank you.
It gives us all something to do in very strange times. So I guess just do the sensible thing. Just hope everyone looks after themselves and all that jazz as well.
Yeah. So and we'll see you soon. Anyway, because we're back in a couple of weeks for our fun race, and the week after that, so it's a few weeks, and then we'll be doing the GT3 Euro Series. So more GT3 action. First race will be at Spa, which I absolutely love. We've not done much at Spa, so hopefully we'll see you there, whether it's be here on the live chat with us again on the live stream, or on the track racing with the other guys. So thanks very much, everyone, one last time, and we will see you soon. There we go, green lights, and we're off once again.